Hello, brothers and sisters in Christ and people of YouTube. I've touched a nerve. I've caused an injury. Satan really wants to shut down my channel and is trying very hard to do it. And I know that's not God's will that it gets shut down because it's helping so many people. And this suicidal idiot just doesn't get the message. Like, they think it's all about them, and we live in a world with 9 billion people, and it's about the other people. It's about the people we can help. And God said to gather his sheep. And even with all that I've been through, even with all the adversity I'm facing, I've still got a smile on my face. I'm not going to let this person take my shine. I'm not going to let them destroy my life. And I know God has my back, and God is a God of last minute. Sometimes he makes things look like they're terrible, like they're just not going to improve, and then he destroys your enemies. And I fully believe that God's going to take care of Satan for me, and he's going to crush his head, crush the head of the serpent, and that'll be the end of him. And that my enemies will come at me in one direction and flee from me in 7. I believe the promises of God, and even though I copped a smashing today, it wasn't actually that bad. And Satan has nothing that she can use against me, and it's really sad that they keep coming at me with no evidence, just jealous and envious that I'm rising and living my own life, And when you move on from people and they can't let you go, it says a lot about their character. It really does. And the truth comes out, and it doesn't matter how many months or years it takes, the truth will come out, and this person's going to feel it. And I can wait. God's taught me patience, and I can wait for it to unfold. His will be done. Glory be to God. I just want to read from Genesis today, and I'm going to read a fair amount of Genesis. And this is starting from Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now, a lot of people misunderstand this verse. It says the sons of God and the daughters of men. Why would it say sons of God and daughters of men? It's not because men are better than women. It's because the sons of God are angels. And they saw the daughters of men that were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And that was a time before Noah and the flood where the angels took wives and had sex with them, angelic beings. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So God shortened the lifespan. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men. That means the angels had sex with the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and the beast and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Now, this is pretty much how today is, you know. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the doors of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. With lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, even I do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. Two of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all the food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee. For them, thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he. So in that generation, God found one righteous person, and his family. And I'm not saying his family was righteous, he just said that Noah was, which says a lot about people. To stand on the line of God is not an easy choice to make, and it's a lonely choice, and sometimes you upset a lot of people. You have to separate from a lot of people because you just want to live a righteous life. And I didn't choose to live a righteous life for myself. I chose it because I feared God. I was scared of him, and I learnt his heart posture. I learnt that God was love, and that I learnt to love him as well. And these are the two postures I have that make me want to serve God and do right by him, as well as God gave me a heart for people, and I always like to serve people and help them. But now I'm not a people pleaser anymore, but I still, when I can, I find ways to bless people and help them, whereas a narcissist will never do that, you know. They will never go out of their way for someone. It's always transactional. It's always for them, not for the other person. So I'm going to read from chapter 7 now. This is a bit of a meaty read. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by the sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. Now, you're probably wondering, why did God ask him to take two of the unclean beasts and seven of the clean beasts? And the reason being is you can't sacrifice the unclean beasts, but you can sacrifice the clean ones, so they'll need more of them to populate the earth again. For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, into the ark because of the water of the flood, of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in two and two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day enter Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in, male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. And the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went up upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, and of cattle, and of beasts, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, all of that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the heaven. And they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Now, imagine when you have a real stormy night and bridges start to flood and roads start to flood, and you think, wow, there's heaps of water. Imagine 40 days of it just, water just hammering down on your boat like that. And that's probably what it'd take to drown the whole population. But imagine that, just as far as you could see, just water bucketing down so much that you couldn't actually see past your nose. And that would basically be what it was like. And God did this because man was always fighting against each other. There was giants that came from, called Nephilim, that came from the union of the angels and the women, which was unnatural to God, and it birthed giants. And these giants are going around, and they started off eating all the produce, all the cattle, and once they ran out of things, they started eating humans, like they were the first cannibals. And that's why God wanted to wipe them out. But if you look at today's world and you see how many people are stuck in courtrooms fighting cases that have no evidence, it's like absolute violence and nastiness, where it's you have to defend yourself when you've done nothing wrong, and this can drag on for months and years. And you can literally understand why God flooded the earth, because man was just not going to listen to him. He was not going to love his neighbour. He was too busy trying to fight with his neighbour and kill him, So I'm going to read another meaty passage. This is also from Genesis chapter 19. And there came 2 angels to Sodom, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And that means that they wanted to know them, means they wanted to have sex with them, because this is the gayest community ever. It's like full of sodomites. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known a man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. So they didn't want the virgin daughters. They wanted they basically wanted the forbidden fruit. They wanted the angels. They wanted something they hadn't had before. And this is basically the same as how a narcissist behaves, that they always go for the grass is greener wherever they think it is. Even a lot of the time they get it wrong and the grass isn't actually greener. They still chase it. They're powerless. They never say no to their lusts and desires. And this is basically the same as what had happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. It was full of sodomites, and they were just having sex left, right and centre with whoever they felt like. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into their house to them and shut the door. So the angels pulled Lot into the house. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, which means they struck the men with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons and thy daughters? And whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-laws, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. Now, I'll just stop that there for a second. I saw something on Instagram the other night that was really disturbing. They were glorifying orgies or swinging parties or sex parties or whatever you want to call them. And basically they were advertising that you just have an STD check beforehand and then you're good to go. And they put this on Instagram, which is like a family, it's supposed to be a family app. So, you probably got 10-year-old kids looking at it. And it's just disgusting, eh? And that's the way the world's getting again. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto thee, O not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. O let me escape thither. Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live? And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Hast thee escaped thither? For I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew these cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the city and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Now, this is interesting because Jesus actually mentions this in his teaching and says, remember Lot's wife. And the reason being, let's just use a narcissist as an example. You could be a good, godly person that they live with, that they married, and they choose to go after like the fleshly desires and the things that lead to death, because the wages of sin are desire leads to sin and sin leads to death. And so she looked back because she missed the pleasures of the city over the wholesomeness of and righteousness of God, and she was basically burnt to a crisp. That's why she's a pillar of salt. She was burnt that badly that all that was left was salt, and that's what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. It was just there was nothing left. God rained down so much fire that it was just a mess, And so there's that. And if you're in this situation yourself, this is the most true verse in the Bible that I have ever read, and I've been hit by this many times in my relationship because I turned a blind eye to this bit of scripture, but it's so true. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 14 to 16. Don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what fellowship do righteousness and iniquity have? Or what fellowship does light have with darkness? What agreement does Christ have with Belial? Or what portion does a believer have with an unbeliever? What agreement does a temple of God have with idols? For you are a temple of the living God, even as God said, I will dwell in them and walk in them. I will be their God and they will be my people. And that's basically God's promise. Like, if you toe the line and you don't have idols, you don't worship other gods, and you just follow me, I'll be with you to the end. And this is why I've had to separate from so many people and just try and live a quiet, peaceful life, because they just don't get it. They can only see past their nose at what is right in front of them and not walk in faith with God. And I've had to walk in faith with God these past 5 months with everything that's going on in my life, and I know that God's turning everything around for His glory, and I still remain faithful to Him. Like, even though today I copped a bit of a smashing, I know it's all part of the grand design, and I know that He's going to have the last chess move worked out. So if you're in this situation with a narcissist and you're copping a smashing and you're thinking to yourself, why have I put up with this so long? This person's cheating on me, this person's stabbing me in the back, they're smearing my name, they're doing all sorts of wickedness, and then they're gaslighting me into thinking that it's my fault. You need to wake up. You need to realise that this person is possessed by the devil. And as in John 8:44, you can read that yourself. And basically you need to separate from this person, and God cannot bless you or speak through you while you're surrounded with these nut jobs. So get yourself free. Get yourself free from the physical, the emotional, the spiritual and the financial ties. 4 ties. And I learnt that from Andrew's channel, which you can probably find on narcissism. He speaks about that a lot. God bless all of you. Remember, Jesus loves you. I love you, and have a blessed day in Jesus' name.